When the elevator doors slid open, a heavy silence rippled through the gleaming lobby. Heads turned. Conversation stilled. From a mirrored interior, a young woman stepped forward shivering, rain-drenched, and smeared with mud up to her knees. Her clothes clung awkwardly to her frame, her hair plastered wetly to her cheeks, and every step she took emitted a soft, humiliating squelch. In a lobby polished to mirror shine, where crisply tailored suits and gleaming leather shoes moved with effortless precision, she was a jarring sight. Whispers began to circulate, low and cutting. A few snickered behind manicured hands. Security eyed her warily, already half rising from behind their desk. But something unwavering in her eyes stopped them. Despite her state, she carried herself with a quiet, unbreakable resolve. Her name was Hannah Reed, 25 years old. No car, no fancy designer outfit, barely enough coins in her pocket for a bus ride. But she carried with her a heart full of stubborn hope and a water-damaged resume, printed hours earlier at the public library. That morning, Hannah had woken before the sun, ironing her single good blouse and carefully sealing her resume inside a plastic sleeve to guard it against the forecasted storm. Her umbrella, old and battered, offered scant protection, but it didn't matter. Today was important. Today could change everything. As she had hurried out, her neighbor, sweet old Mrs. Jensen, was struggling with bags of groceries on the slippery front steps. Without hesitation, Hannah abandoned her umbrella and rushed over to help, hoisting the heavy bags and guiding the frail woman safely indoors. It wasn't a decision, it was instinct. By the time she looked up again, her bus was long gone. Panic tightened in her chest, but she refused to give up. Running across slick sidewalks, dodging puddles and traffic, she tried to catch the next line. In desperation, she cut through a nearby construction site, boots slipping and sliding in the churned-up mud. That's when it happened. Her foot skidded out from under her, sending her sprawling. Thick, cold mud caked her skirt, streaked her sleeves, soaked through her shoes. She stood up, trembling and filthy, but she didn't turn back. Most people would have quit, made excuses. But Hannah Reed wasn't most people. She told herself fiercely, "Mrs. Jensen needed me more than I needed to be early." And so, dripping wet, freezing cold, and looking thoroughly out of place, she stepped onto the marble floor of the city's most prestigious firm, clutching her battered folder. She could feel the stairs carving into her skin, could hear the muffled derision from the impeccably dressed crowd. But she pressed forward anyway, because Hannah hadn't come to impress them with appearances. She had come to prove her worth. Inside the conference room, a different world awaited. Polished mahogany gleamed under soft lights, and along the grand table sat candidates groomed for success. Sharp suits, gleaming watches, every hair in place. Their resumes boasted Ivy League degrees and internships at Fortune 500 companies. They spoke in polished tones and exchanged knowing glances, confident in their belonging. Then the door creaked. All eyes turned as Hannah stepped inside, leaving muddy footprints on the pristine carpet. Murmurs buzzed like insects. One candidate smirked, others shifted uncomfortably. Hannah felt every ounce of their judgment, but did not let it sink her. She found an empty chair at the far end of the table and sat down, smoothing her sodden skirt with trembling hands. At the head of the table sat the CEO, an imposing figure with silver hair, a tailored suit, and piercing eyes that now lingered curiously on Hannah's ruined appearance. He thumbed through her resume without comment, his brow slightly raised. The silence stretched unbearably. Then Hannah took a breath, gathered what strength she had left, and spoke. Her voice, though soft, rang with a clear steadiness. "I know I don't look the part right now," she said, meeting the CEO's gaze directly. "But I believe character should matter more than appearance." The room froze. A few candidates exchanged glances. One coughed awkwardly. But the CEO did not respond immediately. Instead, he leaned back in his chair, regarding her with a thoughtful, unreadable expression. Minutes passed before he finally spoke. "You remind me of someone," he said slowly. 30 years ago, I walked into my first interview covered in grease after working a double shift at my uncle's auto shop. The room rippled with disbelief. Surely not. I didn't have a degree. I didn't have connections. I had dirt under my nails and desperation in my heart. And when I sat down across from the hiring manager, I saw in his eyes the same doubt I'm seeing now in this room. He paused, his gaze sweeping over the candidates. But one man just one look past all that. He gave me a chance. And because of that one chance, I'm standing here today. The CEO's attention returned to Hannah, his eyes now warm, almost proud. I see grit. I see determination. And I see someone who didn't let mud or judgment stop her. That's the kind of person we need here. The impact of his words hung heavy in the air. No one moved. Hannah's eyes burned with unshed tears, but she refused to let them fall. She simply nodded, offering a small, genuine smile, the first since she had stepped through those daunting glass doors. From that moment, everything changed. Weeks later, the building remained as sleek and polished as ever. But something fundamental had shifted. In a bright meeting room, under the glow of natural light, Hannah stood at the front, no longer the bedraggled girl who had arrived against all odds. Now she wore professional clothes, modest, neat, bought secondhand, but worn with pride, and she spoke with a calm, commanding confidence. Around her, executives and new hires alike leaned in, listening intently as she outlined strategies and ideas. Her voice was steady, her points sharp, her presence magnetic. Respect flowed toward her naturally now, not because of polish or pedigree, but because of something far rarer: authenticity. Outside the glass walls, the CEO paused as he passed by, a small smile tugging at his lips. His faith had not been misplaced. He had not just hired another employee. He had sparked a transformation throughout the entire company. Later that afternoon, in the break room, a young intern, overwhelmed and nervous, accidentally spilled her coffee all over the counter. Faces turned. The girl looked mortified, ready to crumble. Without hesitation, Hannah crossed the room, knelt down with a napkin, and helped her clean up. "Don't worry," she whispered with a reassuring smile. "We all have our moments." The intern smiled shyly, some of her fear dissolving. Hannah had not merely earned a job. She had become a living reminder that appearances were the least important thing about a person. She had reminded them all in a world obsessed with surface-level perfection that grit, heart, and decency shone brighter than any polished shoes or tailored suits ever could. And she had done it not by shouting or demanding attention, but by showing up mud, rain, trembling hands, and all, and daring to be seen for who she truly was. Long after her muddy footprints had been cleaned away, the impact of her presence remained, like an invisible trail of light for every soul who came after, carrying dreams in weathered folders and hopes stitched into the seams of secondhand clothes.